This is Rockslapping Champions. Player 1, playing Kerrigan. We have Derek. And player 2, playing Dahaka. We have Sunflower. Okay, so let us have a look at the masteries. Kerrigan is a level 75 Ascension level player. They have picked 15 points into the energy regeneration, 10 points into the attack damage, 25 points into the Vesping cost reduction, and 20 points in the 5 split here into the fast evolution and primary ability improvement mastery. So it's kind of a hybridized build, as I always say on Rockslapping Champions. Usually it's picking one or the other, it will give you a little bit extra value. And Dahaka having nothing here selected, so no Devour healing, no masteries here. He's, I think, level 9, I think, if I remember correctly while looking at the loading screen. Dahaka already deep tunneling across and starting to slap these Marines down, and he's slowly going to start leveling up, and that's a really good thing to see. There will unfortunately be no literal rock slapping in this game. So Dahaka actually visits Starcraft2coop.com, and Starcraft2coop.com is his #1 source of Starcraft 2 co-op information, so he knows that rock slapping is not a good idea in co-op games. What do we have in production for Kerrigan? Kerrigan is going for a queen here, which seems to be very standard, like especially ladder players, they do like to get their queens out here for Kerrigan. Personally, and this is just, like I said, a matter of choice, unless you're playing P1, where queens can drop creep tumors off of creep, and you can get a lot of good utility out of your creep spreads. Usually I like to just build macro hatcheries. It's a little bit easier. Kerrigan just naturally floats minerals anyway, so just building those macro hatcheries just makes your macro a little bit easier to implement, so you don't really need to do your larva injects. But I have seen players do this both ways, having queens with the larva injects as well as just going for the macro hatcheries. Both are fine for Kerrigan play. Zagara is a little bit more different. Usually you should build your macro hatcheries because your queens take up supply, and supply is at a very high premium for Zagara. But Dahaka already ready, and that medic just went flying in the air with just one slap over there. It shows you the strength of the Dahaka slap, and this is why Dahaka usually slaps some rocks, because he can make the rocks go flying as well. And as you can probably tell, I have nothing really much to talk about while this game is in the early stages, so I'm just going to make random commentary about random stuff. Kerrigan has now spawned, and there is a second queen on the way. And what is this queen going to do? This queen is going to start placing creep tumors. So yeah, this is very standard of ladder players here. But Kerrigan has actually forgotten that there's an expansion over here, and she is not clearing that expansion. Instead, she wants to go and slap these rocks instead. It looks like Kerrigan wants to slap these rocks instead. She's staring at these rocks right now, unable to move. She's considering what is going on. Why can I not move through solid matter? And now she has realized that she has to slap these rocks as well. Dahaka and Kerrigan now slapping these, and now there is an attack wave on the way, so Kerrigan is going to be jumping in as well. And she does have an assimilation aura, but she has not used it so far. So where is Kerrigan going to be going? Kerrigan wants to do the bonus objective. Of course he wants to do the bonus objective. Why take an expansion? Why improve your economy? Why build other units out? And we also have a macro hatchery on this side for no apparent reason. Lair on the way, which is kind of nice for Kerrigan. And we also have an evolution. Oh no, we have 2 evolution chambers coming out for Kerrigan as well. Not really sure why Kerrigan has not still taken out her expansion. And remember, the enemy composition is raiding party. Ground composition, not too bad, but it is a Terran composition. And Terran compositions are really nasty in general. The Hawkeye decides to move out of the way. Those bunkers do kind of hurt, and they're really difficult to take down. One of the most annoying parts of the Hawkeye play. What do we have in production? We have some Lings on the way, so maybe she's going to be using these Lings to clear the expansion out, which will be kind of nice for Kerrigan, because you do need to take your expansion as quickly as possible. Dahaka has just finished clearing out his expansion. He has a few workers over here. Needs a little bit more macro, taking the extra gases, because Dahaka is going to be very short on gas very soon, as he starts building his other tech units. Kerrigan is just actually leaving Dahaka alone there. Oh no, Kerrigan changed her mind. She wants to go back and try and take this out as well. Again, no use of the assimilation aura here, which is very unfortunate, because that could have helped not only Kerrigan, but also helped Dahaka clear that out. And now Dahaka is actually clearing Kerrigan's rocks here. So Dahaka has made a few Lings, and his Lings are going to be clearing the rocks out for Kerrigan, because apparently Kerrigan has not done it. Where is Kerrigan? Is Kerrigan going to go clear the rocks now? What level is Kerrigan? 75. Okay, so there's no way they are not aware that there is an expansion. We just actively chose to not take an expansion, apparently. And now Kerrigan is just going to be chilling in the base here and letting the Haka fend for himself during the course of this next onslaught of attack waves. And now there'll be a Void Thrasher spawning. The Haka already getting into position. You can see what's happening over here. Amon is starting to push. He's starting to push down this lane, and he's going to start bunker rushing them, so it's going to be a bit of a problem here. And these Mulisks are going to be a little bit too fragile for the Haka to engage directly into the attack wave. These Marines do a lot of damage. Lings decide to jump in and join into the fray here, but these Lings are going to get completely murdered by the Marines and the Marauders over here. And I think all those Lings ended up dying right now. 12 Lings are dead, and so far Kerrigan has still not taken the expansion. The expansion is still pending for Kerrigan. Kerrigan is considering whether she needs to expand right now. This might be a rushable mission. Kerrigan is thinking maybe she might be able to finish this mission in about 11 minutes, so it won't be too bad. She doesn't need the expansion at that time. And if you can probably guess, I am being extremely sarcastic because I have no idea what to say right now. Kerrigan just chilling over here. We have 3 evolution chambers and we have attack upgrades on the way. What did Kerrigan research? She got her Ling upgrades, she got her Kerrigan upgrades, and she's sitting at the Hive, but she has no ability efficiency upgrade. But I guess if you don't use... I guess if you're not using your abilities, I guess that doesn't really matter too much. And now there's an attack wave on the Haka's lane over here. So the Haka is going to need to get into position here to deal with this wave. There is Morvar here that gets sent to just clean out the rest of the Amon camp here. And the Haka has deep tunneled across here to start engaging this. He uses his fire breath here, deal a little bit of damage and weaken some of these units out, but these Hydralisks are also getting a little bit too dangerously close to these fire bats here, but the Haka is able to clear those out. And now we have the first assimilation aura of the game and an immobilization wave for no apparent reason. That attack wave did not need an immobilization wave, and this might cost Kerrigan a lot of army units, because now that her immobilization wave is on a 160-second cooldown, she is going to be unable to handle this next wave, which will contain hybrids, and it's very useful to have your immobilization wave for this wave that's coming up, because you can actually use your immobilization wave to wipe out the weaker units so that you can deal with the hybrids over here. And you see what's happening right now. These Hydralisks are going to start getting attacked by Amon's forces, and Kerrigan has jumped right into the middle of both the attack waves here. Hybrids are trying to focus down Kerrigan, but Kerrigan does end up surviving, and Doctrine does start to push as well into this lane. Over here, there's a Tunafish hybrid that's harassing some of Kerrigan's units. The Haka has taken Kerrigan's lane because Kerrigan was pushing down his lane, which is also okay. Not really too much of a problem. But there's another attack wave that'll be coming up, and Kerrigan, again, left by herself. I don't know where these Hydralisks are going right now, but they need to be around Kerrigan and not where they are going, because the Haka has pretty much got this side under control. But the Haka is moving actually down this lane right now, so the Haka... Oh, okay, now he's noticed, so he's going to be moving back. These Hydralisks are probably not going to be enough, because there are going to be a few siege tanks as well here, and these Hydralisks now are going to start getting completely shredded by the forces of Amon. Siege tanks just shelling away over here, and the Haka actually does end up roasting the ghost instead of eating it, so that has caused a few problems. Look at all these medevacs over here just doing nothing, moving all out of the way here. And Kerrigan has lost a total of 16 Hydralisks and 14 Zerglings, sitting at about 32 supplies strong right now. And what do we have? We have 3 evolution chambers, nothing being researched in any of them, and still no expansion for Kerrigan. If only there was a way of getting some more gas. If only there was a way of getting some more gas to help. The Haka has actually queued up some of these upgrades as well for the Mules. Usually not worth doing. It's a waste of mineral. It's a waste of gas, most importantly, to queue up so many upgrades at the same time. I always encourage people to not do that, because it's just it's a waste of resources. Over here, the Primal Carapace upgrade, I would say not to get it, but again, because you're dealing with Marines, there you can rationalize getting that upgrade. The armor upgrades can reduce the amount of damage your Mules take from Marine damage, so that is, I guess, okay. Not ideal, but I would still not go for it, but again, it's not particularly bad either. A few more Hydralisks trying to attack the Haka. We're watching these Hydralisks kill off the last Tunafish hybrid over here. The Haka's really moving forward, and these Hydralisks also kill off some more of these medevacs. So all in all, mission seems to be going okay. The next Void Thrasher has spawned, and Kerrigan is going to be moving towards the Void Thrasher. The Haka is trying to... Look at these medevacs here. Trying to make sure that this area has been cleared, which is okay. Hawk should be a little bit more active on the map as well. He needs to be able to handle the attack wave because Kerrigan does not have an expansion. This is going to be very, very problematic. Kerrigan now is on the front line tanking all this marine damage and the siege tank, and that just is too much for Kerrigan, and Kerrigan falls, and now the army of Hydralisks that was sent by Kerrigan does end up getting roasted as well by these Marines. Now the Marines are just going to be pumping up, and Haka jumps into the fray over here, eats the siege tank up, and now these Lings are probably going to end up getting shelled by some of these siege tanks over here. And now these Hydralisks are also taking damage from the siege tank, and I think one Hydralisk was also lost over here. Another siege tank that is trying to take out some of these allied forces. Hydralisk running right into the Void Thrasher AoE. And these Mulisks now are going to be dealing a little bit more damage. Over here, Amon's forces have started to batter this temple. And what do we have here? The Haka will need to try and address this. He's going to drop 2 Greater Primal Ones to just draw a little bit of aggro, take the aggro off the temple. And now we have another drop attack. And Kerrigan has returned, and she is ready to join the fray again in the midst of this highly heated battle against Amon. And what do we have here? The Haka is going to be moving up on the northern side now, and Kerrigan has realized, oh look, there's an expansion over here I should probably use. So Kerrigan has destroyed the gas rocks right now, and is Kerrigan going to be taking an expansion? Is Kerrigan going to be taking an expansion? Probably not. We have the ability efficiency that has been researched. But again, 3 evolution chambers. Nothing else over here. We have a Lurker Den as well for Kerrigan. Lurker is not too bad against this composition because it is primarily made up of ground units, even though there are a few battlecruisers. But oh, Kerrigan wants to do the bonus objective. Okay, so Kerrigan is going to be focusing on this bonus objective over here. There is a random unit here. Is a few drones. But when are these drones actually going to be taking the expansion? There is another drop attack that is coming up here from the northern side as well. The Haka has cleared out and pushed through this area, so this will be also kind of fine. And now there is a double... Oh, actually, there's just a lot of medevacs here, just moving in to help these Marines. So many medevacs for Amon. Those medevacs are actually there from the previous attack waves that they never got cleared up because the Haka didn't have the... Unfortunately, that ghost does get through here, and he does end up cloaking and moving and making its way here towards the Haka's base. So, somewhat unfortunate, but that ghost seems to be hellbent on nuking that ghost. It's gonna end up nuking the Haka. So, a very important thing for the Haka play is always devour those ghosts. Those ghosts are psionic, so they create an explosion, which I like to call the psionic fart, which the community likes to call the psionic fart. Very, very important here. And unfortunately, the Great Primal Worm was a little bit too far away from that ghost to actually detect it. And now Kerrigan has 1 Lurker, 2 Lurkers over here, and a few Hydralisks, so 3 Lurkers from Kerrigan. Finally, the expansion comes down at about 18 minutes, so this thing is going to be done in maybe 1930, maybe? The expansion will be completed in 1930, and now there's a huge attack wave over here. And this Kerrigan's army is just not enough to handle the attack wave that is there. That Hybrid Behemoth, I'm pretty sure the Hybrid Behemoth can solo the entire Kerrigan's army right now. We do have an assimilation or a mobilization way of getting used to this. It does generate a nice amount of resources for Kerrigan, but as I said, her army is nowhere near large enough to handle this, and the Hydra is just getting shelled by siege tanks and all sorts of other stuff. Some more Hydralisks do join in, but they are not focusing on the siege tank. They're focusing on the Tuna Fish Hybrid here, and they're just getting murdered by the siege tanks right now. And all but 4 of those Hydralisks end up surviving. And, well, actually, all but 4 of those Hydralisks end up dying and not surviving. Only 4 of those Hydralisks have survived the onslaught, and now there's another drop attack here, and the Haka has to go and engage this. What is Kerrigan's losses so far? 46 Hydralisks have died. Those Lurkers are actually in an okay spot here. They're not in a really bad spot. The ground units will... Everything here that comes up is going to be primarily ground units, so these Lurkers will do a reasonably good job dealing with that. But now there's another Void Thrasher spawn. And what is Kerrigan going to send against us? There are a few Lings and Kerrigan, and there's a small army of Hydralisks. But there again, like I said, there is a attack wave here, and this attack wave again has a lot of siege tanks. Kerrigan does use an assimilation aura, but Kerrigan is just going to get completely wrecked by the onslaught of siege tanks and hybrids here. And these hybrids now are just going to start killing off these Hydralisks without any issues. These Hydralisks have nothing to tank for them and all these Hydralisks end up getting wiped. And now Doctrine has been used here to try and soak up a little bit of damage, while the Haka has to handle the onslaught of the northern attack wave here. The Haka cannot move out of the way because this attack wave is pretty large, so he has to clear this out first before he goes and engages that Void Thrasher over here. And now the Haka is... there are a few more Hydralisks here that are trying to fight the Doctrine, now moving into position, and that Void Thrasher again causing a lot of problems for Kerrigan. And what is the plan here? The Haka has to go and engage this by himself right now because nothing is available for Kerrigan to help. So we have Kerrigan now moving in. We have a few more Lings over here. Another immobilization wave, which I guess is okay, but this immobilization wave is not really going to do very much damage to hybrids. And now this double-pronged army is going to be moving in. Kerrigan hasn't actually even tried to pick up the assimilation or resources that she has dropped here, but this Void Thrasher will finally go down. So Void Thrasher will melt reasonably fast, but this is not the end because now there is going to be triple-pronged attack waves. Very nice layout here of Lings just surrounding this area, and this is going to be very, very difficult. The Haka will have to pretty much solo this entire mission by himself right now, because this double-pronged attack wave is going to be a huge problem for Kerrigan. Kerrigan has probably not even saturated her expansion, and Kerrigan is sitting still at 86 supply, and she has sent her Lings in first, and that is not a wise idea. Those Lings get completely murdered by those Marines here. Now Kerrigan, it's her turn to get murdered. Will she survive? Will she actually end up surviving? Actually, she might end up surviving here because her carapace has kept her alive, and the Haka uses a Glevig here to try and deal some more damage. And remember, Glevig doesn't have the incendiary acid because he's level 9. I think Glevig gets that at level 10. So even his back leader is not really as strong as you would like. Hydralisks park themselves right in the middle of the Void Thrasher AoE area, and now there is another attack wave, and these siege tanks are going to spot Kerrigan, and they will spot the Hydralisk, and they are just going to start killing off everything that is there. Kerrigan just gets shelled by those siege tanks. Hydralisks get sliced up and diced up by the Hybrid Behemoth. And that is Kerrigan's entire army wiped out, and now the Haka has to go in and engage, but he has to be a little bit careful. These Mulists are all in the red, but he does have his regeneration carapace here, so he'll have his primal reconstitution upgrade, which will allow those Mulists to respawn, but he might be taking a few heavy losses as well from this ground force here. The Haka is going to be able to push through. He does manage to cut through, but he has actually abandoned his base, and his side of the wave has started to attack his main, and he's going to be losing his pack leaders, he's going to be losing his dens, and he's going to be losing all his production right now, and his primal hive. The Haka needs to try and get into position. Few more Hydralisks here for Kerrigan, but those Hydralisks are not really going to be doing anything. Kerrigan tries to help her ally out, but that is not going to be enough. Kerrigan is going to be jumping in reasonably okay immobilization way, but Kerrigan is not focusing on the things that actually matter. Okay, now she's doing it. She's making a beeline for these Marauders, clearing out all those Marauders, which is actually kind of nice. Now Kerrigan is going to get attacked by a ton of hybrids over here, using her jumpy move to try and heal up her, give her a little bit more carapace damage, but Kerrigan throwing a little bit too low, and again gets completely wiped by the army of hybrids, and now there are a lot of siege tanks over here. Hydralisks trying to stop the onslaught of Marines here, but that is not going to be enough. Those Hydralisks do end up going down. Now the Mules have to jump in as well. The Haka needs just one Devourer. There's a Science Vessel, and there are a few Ghosts over here. One Devour from that would just solve all this problem for the Haka, unfortunately. But I don't think the Haka is going to do that. He just needs one good Devour on one of these Science Vessels. Doesn't really matter. The temple has been defended, but at what cost? There was so much carnage over here, so much carnage. But the temple has been defended, and that is GG.